सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई,
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई,
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई,
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई।
प्रेम के बस अर्जुन रखा क्यों,
प्रेम के बस अर्जुन रखा क्यों,
भूली गए ठकुराई सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई,
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई,
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई,
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई।
ओ हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, ओ हरे राम
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे हो,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, ओ
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे हो।
जय मां गंगे
गंगे
जय मां गंगे
गंगे
जय मां गंगे
गंगे
जय मां गंगे हो,
जय मां गंगे जय मां गंगे जय मां गंगे जय मां गंगे हो,
जय मां गंगे
गंगे
जय मां गंगे
गंगे
जय मां गंगे
गंगे
जय मां गंगे हो,
जय मां गंगे जय मां गंगे जय मां गंगे जय मां गंगे
ओ हर हर गंगे हर हर गंगे हर हर गंगे हर हर गंगे, ओ हर हर
गंगे हर हर गंगे हर हर गंगे हो, हर हर गंगे
गंगे माँ गंगे माँ गंगे माँ गंगे माँ गंगे माँ
गंगे मां गंगे मां गंगे मां
हे माँ हे माँ हे माँ हे माँ
Another very beautiful, special day because it marks the 1-year anniversary of the official inauguration of the Padmasana, the Balinese sacred temple here in Parmarthniketan, where our beloved and respected family, the priests, the high priests, the priestesses, the devotees, came from Bali a year ago to officially inaugurate the first Balinese temple on the banks of Mother Ganga here. And it had an incredibly beautiful history because about almost 20 years ago, when Pujya Swamiji was in Bali, meeting with the governor of Bali at that time, talking about the sacredness of Mother Ganga. And the governor was saying how beautiful it would be to have a temple for the Balinese people, for the Indonesian Hindus, the way they worship, on the banks of Mother Ganga. And so, of course, Pujya Swamiji said, well, sure, Parmarth is your ashram. We'll have it there. The Padmasana got sent. Then, of course, as happens in the world of political elections and roles and titles and posts and things, different people came, people transitioned, there was a cycle. And then many years later, our respected and beloved brothers and sisters from Indonesia, from Bali, came and said we should have this temple. And of course, we already had the Padmasana waiting for this beautiful temple. And so last year we had this sacred inauguration that really, really marks this beautiful oneness across oceans, across continents, across lands, across countries and cultures. But nonetheless, that oneness, that union together. And so it's a great joy to welcome our respected and beloved family back from Bali to be with us today and to celebrate the anniversary of the inauguration of the Padmasana.
आरती मात तुम्हारे जो जन नित गाता
वैया प्रेम सहित गाता दास वही है सहज में भक्त
वही है सहज में मुक्ति को पाता। ओम जय गंगे माता, जय गंगे माता, मैया जय गंगे माता। जो नर तुमको ध्याता, जो नर मैया को ध्याता, मनवांछित फल पाता। ओम जय गंगे माता, जय गंगे माता, जय गंगे माता।
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय
राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
ओ जय जय राधा रमण, जय जय राधा रमण, जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। ओ जय जय राधा रमण,
जय जय राधा रमण, जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
ओ जय जय राधा रमण, जय जय राधा रमण, जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
How do we find our Dharma? And is it okay if it scares us in the beginning? Because we're walking maybe away from what we thought. And for me, I always go back to the Bhagavad Gita. Go back to different scriptures, but the Gita especially, because it's such an extraordinary provider of answers. And in the Gita, when Bhagavan Krishna gives the teaching of Dharma, Arjuna didn't want to fight the war. It begins with him being scared. They give this beautiful description of not just his emotional state, but his physical state. His hair is standing up. Fear. And what's so, for me, important about this teaching is, a lot of us think when I find my Dharma, when I find my purpose, it's going to be romantic. It's going to be glamorous. It's going to be really fun. Everybody's going to appreciate me. That somehow out there for me, there is a Dharma. There is a purpose. There is a calling that when I do it, it's going to just feel great. And I'm going to be a great success, and everybody's going to love me, and I'm going to be on the cover of magazines, and it's going to be extraordinary, right? We have, especially in the West, as we sort of co-opt teachings from the East without the full depth of the wisdom. But you look at Arjuna, and you look at what Lord Krishna tells him. No, it's not going to be fun. No, it's not going to be glamorous. No, it's not going to be romantic. No, it's not going to feel good. No, not everybody's going to appreciate you. And it's what you need to do. And it's going to be scary sometimes. Because in many cases, it's not going to be, as they say, towing the party line. And whether the party is my family, whether the party is my culture, when we step out of that and we realize that we have a calling, a dharma, a purpose that isn't just exactly what our parents did or exactly what our culture tells us the model of success is, it's scary. I remember when I decided to move to India, rather when the divine universe decided for me and I was able to oblige, able to come. Everybody tried to tell me, you're crazy. You're crazy, don't do this. This is a horrible mistake. Get yourself set first. Then later you want to take a year or two as a, spiritual trip, no problem. A Peace Corps type of mission, no problem. But first, settle yourself. Get a name for yourself in your career. Then, yeah, no problem. But I knew that wasn't my dharma. I knew if that was what the divine wanted of me, I would have been sent here and given the experiences I was given once I was already settled in my career. Once I already had made a name for myself in my career. Once I was already in that place. But that's not how it happened. And so in faith in God, and this again, back to the Gita, Krishna is Arjun's charioteer. Now it's amazing, it's God. Krishna was not a professional charioteer. He was a king. He was also God, of course, but in his role on planet Earth at that time, he wasn't a driver of horses. But for Arjun, for the war, he was. And it's such a beautiful metaphor and teaching of if you really let God drive your life, if you allow yourself to be in the divine chariot with that faith that God knows what God's doing. And if you've got that awareness, that intuition, that knowing of what your dharma is, yeah, sometimes it's scary. Sometimes stepping up to the plate of our life is scary. Whether we're afraid that we're going to fail, whether we're afraid that we're going to make fools of ourselves, whether we're afraid of, oh my God, what are their neighbors going to think? Whether we're afraid because people say to us, no, 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 don't do that. Whatever it may be. But this is where courage is extolled as an essential virtue, an essential component of the spiritual path. Because you know what? To meditate even is scary. So many times people say, I can't meditate, I don't know why. And one of the reasons that for so many we can't meditate is it's actually scary. Because to experience a truth other than the story that my mind tells me is scary. Because then it means, oh my God, this identity, this tiny little false identity I've created, may not be true. May not be everything. This drama I've created may not be real. And then, of course, all the years I've spent of my life in this identity and drama, and that's scary. And we must meditate. And that's where courage is required. To experience the truth of who we are, and then to live it. And lastly, here's the beautiful piece. When you have the courage to live it, two things happen. Number one, or three things happen rather. Number one, you have the experience of living your Dharma. So you have that possibility of awakening, of enlightenment, of actually what you are here on earth for, of the experience of the truth of the self. And that's the highest calling. So you actually have the possibility of awakening. But something else happens also. You actually contribute to the awakening of those who were pulling on the other end of the rope. If you and I are pulling on opposite ends of a rope, and there's tension, you want me to be one way, I want to be another way, we're each pulling, and I let go of the rope, what happens to it? Well, we hope the other one doesn't actually fall down, but the rope, what happens to the rope? It's slack, exactly. What happens to the tension in the rope? 100% it falls. It's not I let go and 50% of the tension goes. I let go and 100% of the tension goes. One person letting go of a karmic tug-of-war, and 100% of the tension goes. What that means is that if you find yourself in one of those karmic or dharmic tug-of-wars with someone, and you are able to let go, doesn't mean do what they say, but it means let go of trying to convince them, trying to pull them, and just live your truth. 100% of that tension dissipates. And you actually then become an instrument for the possibility of their awakening. It won't necessarily happen. Don't be attached to it by any means. But you actually create the possibility for it. And lastly, you create a space, an energetic space, into which everyone around you is given the possibility to also have courage to walk their Dharma. Because as one person does it, that ripple impact in the family, in the community, in the society is huge. And suddenly other people get courage to also do it. And slowly, 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 you actually become a creator of energetic space, of an energetic container, an ever-expanding container, into which others can also come and have the courage to live their Dharma. And that's what's really beautiful about it.